The reason why you would keep those women that didn't have sex with men was so you can have them. That's your sex toy.
And then the Lord goes deep too. Then the Lord tells you, if you take down a nation, and then you take a woman that used to be with one of them other nations, it tells you how to deal with her, how you give her a time
to mourn her parents.
Like 30 days, I believe it is.
Yep.
So now that would make it, the Lord seem hypocritical if, according to what you guys say.
Right.
You saying that the Most High say you can't deal with these other nations. Now he's saying you can deal with them. No, it's not hypocritical. What the point is, you're not supposed to marry them and get in love with them and start following their God.
That's what you're going to do.
All right, and that's what happens. But it was okay to deal with them, to have them as part of your concubine harem. All right, there was nothing wrong with that.
That's right. So now go from there to Hosea, the 7th chapter.
Okay, that's
the 8th verse.
Hosea 7.
Yeah, that was the end of Nehemiah. Yep.
Okay.
Hosea chapter 7, verse 8. Let's read that, and then we're going to look up this word, couple of words in the Blue Letter Bible, you know, and give you some more understanding on the Israelite foreigners and basically what they're going to look like. Okay. So go ahead, brother.
Hosea chapter 7, verse 8. It says, Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned.
So it says, Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. He's among those nations. You know, and when it speaks about Ephraim, first and foremost, the so-called Puerto Ricans, but it's talking about the rest of the other tribes, the so-called Latin tribes and Native American Indian tribes. They mingled themselves among those nations. It says, Ephraim is a cake not turned. Why? Because when you mix yourself among those nations, the children that you're going to have with those nations are going to look like a pancake that's cooked on one side, but the other side is raw. That's what it means by Ephraim is a cake not turned. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to the Blue Letter Bible. We're going to look up the word mixed. We're going to look up the word cake, and we're going to look up the word turn to show you what these terms mean. Because you have to know these things, because there were certain subtle hints and certain other scriptures that were more blatant to show you that in this time now, not all Israel was going to look the same. The Most High likes variety. That's where the confusion of all these people in the world is going to come from. Because they're going to read the scriptures and they're going to think that the other nations can be delivered, but they don't understand that those are the Israelites that were scattered among those nations. They weren't going to look like your regular Israelites. So let's take a look at the Blue Letter Bible, and we'll be right back. Alright, so what we're going to do now is going to look up the word mixed in Hosea, the 7th chapter, and the 8th verse. And the word mixed is what?
Balal.
Balal, which means what?
To mix, mingle, confuse, confound.
To mix, mingle, confuse, confound. So you're going to have Israelites that was going to mix themselves, especially the so-called Latin tribes and the Native American Indian tribes. They were going to, which is the Northern Kingdom. They were going to mix themselves among these people, and what? They were going to be mixed, mingled, confused, confounded. Go ahead.
Right. It says to mingle, confuse, to mix.
To mix. Go ahead.
To give provender, feed animals. It says to mix oneself among others.
Right. So if you mix yourself among others, what's going to happen? You're going to take on the looks of those other nations, because you're going to drop your seed in those other women of those other nations. Now, let's go back and let's look at the word. The next word is going to be cake, which is the word. The word cake is
right. I got,
which means what?
It means disc or cake of bread, cake of hot stones, cake baked on hot stones.
So if you take a cake and you bake it on a hot stove, on a hot stones, which is like a stove, and if you don't flip it, what's going to happen? It's going to be cooked on one side, and it's not going to be cooked on the other side.
Yep.
So now let's go back and let's look at the word turned. All right, and this is plain. It's plain. It's what?
Right. Hapak.
Hapak, which means what?
It means to turn, overthrow, overturn, to overturn, overthrow, to turn about, turn over.
To turn over. Go ahead.
Turn around.
So if you take a cake and you cook it on one side and you don't turn it over, it's going to be dark on one side and light on the other side. All right, so now let's jump down. Okay.
It says to change, transform.
To change, transform.
Which is heavy.
Exactly.
Because that's pretty much what the Lord did.
That's right.
He transformed Jacob to looking like the other nations,
that's
man.
Right. That's right.
And that shows the power
That shows the power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. This is the Most High's program. This ain't our program. This ain't them clowns' program. This is Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai's program. He gonna direct it like he wanna direct.
That's right, man.
He already got the vision. He already set the plans out how it's gonna be. Now let's jump down here to the Jacinius lexicon and read that.
Right. It says to turn as a cake. Hosea 7:8. A dish. 2 Kings 21:13. Turn thy hand or thy side. An example. Turn back.
There's another point here. Let's see. So to overthrow, to change. Right.
Right. 3. To turn. To convert. To change.
See, like here it says the hair in the plague is turned white. Let's see if there's anything else. To be turned. Right here.
Right. Okay. To be turned. An example. To be changed. Followed by a lot.
Right here.
Especially to be changed for the worse. An example, to degenerate.
Right. To become degenerated. You know, like the Lord said in Jeremiah 2, said, how have you turned to a strange vine of a strange plant unto me? You know, I think that's pretty much it. There you go.
Right. To turn. An example. To change oneself. To be turned.
All right. So that's pretty much it. You know, so the main point is what to turn about, turn over, and to change, to transform. You know, because you can change by changing your ways, or you can change by looking a certain way, and eventually down the line, you know, by you dealing with the women of these other nations, you're not going to look the same way that you did back, you know, during the time of the patriarch, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, so let's go back to the scriptures and let's hit some more points. All right, so as you can see, you know, we just went into the Blue Letter Bible and we looked up in the book of Hosea, the 7th chapter, the 8th verse, different words to show you that those words, when it says that Ephraim is a cake not turned, it's talking about that the Ephraimites and the rest of the other tribes were going to be looking different. They weren't going to be looking the same as they did back in the days, because they mixed themselves among those nations. So now what I want to do, let's go from there to Daniel, the 9th chapter, and the 7th and the 8th verse. Because this scripture here in Daniel, the 9th chapter, and the 7th and the 8th verse is twofold. Alright? And we're going to read it and break it down for you. It's twofold. So go ahead, brother.
Daniel chapter 9, verse 7. O Lord, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, righteousness belongeth unto thee. But unto us confusion of faces. Right,
so it says, O Lord, righteousness belongs unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces. So that's twofold. First and foremost today, dealing with Judah, Benjamin, Levi, the tribes out there, they don't know who they are. They think that they're black, they think that they're Dominican, they think that they're Jamaican, they think that they're West Indian, they think that they're Puerto Rican, they think that they're Mexican, they think that they're Native American Indians, they're thinking that they're Seminole Indians. You know, they're thinking that they're Haitians and all of that. That's part of the confusion. And that's a shame. It's a shame. Alright, so they're shamed that way because they don't know who they are. Every other nation on the planet knows who they are, or at least do, but the nation of Israel has no clue of their identity. Alright, and read on. And the second part of the confusion part represents that you're going to have Israelites are scattered among these other nations, and they're going to be dealing with those nations, and the children are not going to look like an actual Israelite. So that's where another part of the confusion comes into play. Alright, so go ahead.
But unto us confusion of faces as at this day. To the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off.
Right, because you had Israelites that were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Go ahead.
Through all the countries whither thou hast driven them.
So all the countries that our people went into, we dealt with the women of those nations. And the children came out looking like those people of those nations. Go ahead.
Because of their trespass that they have trespassed against thee.
Go ahead.
O Lord, To us belongeth confusion of faces.
Faces. That's all right.
O Lord, to us belongeth confusion of faces. Face. To our kings, to our princes, and to our fathers, because we have sinned against thee.
All the Israelites, whether they were a king back then, because you have those same kings that were in Jerusalem and in Israel, are they back here today? And they're jakes out here, you know, and you can tell by their manner, the way they conduct themselves, the things that they like to do, you know, their taste. So you have all of, you have the Israelites, you have the kings, you have the princes, and you have different level of men out here that are Israelites that are confused. And some of them are mixed among the nations, and they act in the same way. So what I want to do is, let's go and look up this word confusion in the dictionary, and let's take a look at that and find out what this word means. So we'll be right back. Alright, so this is the freedictionary.com, you know, and we looked up the word confused. So now the word confused means what?
Right, it means to cause to be unable to think with clarity or act with intelligence or understanding, throw off.
Right, so you have jakes that are like that in today. They're confused, you know, they're shamed. Go ahead.
And also, too, it throws you off because you don't think that they're a jake.
Right.
A guy that you least expect. You know, you got a lot of, like we've been telling you for the longest, you got Israelites that look like these other nations, look like so-called white people that look like Arabs, like all of the nations, and it throws you off, right? And you can't think with clarity. So it's true.
That's right. Go ahead.
To cause to feel embarrassment.
Yep. Go ahead.
To mistake. And let me say this, because when as Jake getting mixed amongst the other nations, you know, they're embarrassed, man, because they, you know, and I know this for a fact. I know certain so-called Puerto Ricans which look like white boys, you know, not nothing like this brother. He look like, you know, if you know Puerto Rican, you already know he's a Puerto Rican. But I'm talking about certain Puerto, and y'all brothers out there, I know y'all know some of these Puerto Ricans, which are the tribe of Ephraim. They look like white boys, man. They got the blonde hair and everything. I remember this one dude, this guy we know, he's a cousin, he's from Puerto Rico. He said, man, you motherfucker, get ready. I fight when motherfuckers try to call me a white boy. He despise, because he knows that he's so-called Puerto Rican or whatever. Right. But the dude looks like, you know,
he hates that. He hates that.
He hates it, so he's like ashamed of it. You know.
Right, that's right.
But that was the prophecy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so that's why
the prophecy.
That's why it's like that.
Part of the prophecy of being confused, being ashamed.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
To mistake for another.
To mistake for another. Wait a minute.
Wow.
Confused means to mistake for another.
Wow.
So you're going to look at a dude, you're going to look like a white dude, and you're going to say, nah, you a white dude. So now, motherfucker, I ain't white.
Yeah.
So you're going to confuse him for somebody else, to mistake for another. Now, let's jump to the actual etymology of the word.
Ooh, okay. We'll go deeper. Okay. Middle English confusing or confusing. From Old French, confuse, perplexed. From Latin,
confuses,
confuses, past participle of confudere, which means to mix together.
To mix together. So what does the word confuse mean? Con is with, and fuse is to mix together. Like we was, you know, Elder Ayathan was there earlier. We were speaking. He said, "Yeah, that's when you fuse something together.
Right.
When you bring two
different
objects together, two different objects together, and fuse them together. So that's the Israelite and the woman of another nation. So confused means with mixing together, and that's what causes you to what? To mistake for another. Woo. You know. So you know, you guys out there, man, just give it up, man. Because the bottom line, yeah, you got to know words. And the bottom line is this, that the Most High is gathering his elect, and the Most High knows what he's doing. The Most High is not absent-minded. The Most High knows exactly what he's doing through his son, Yahushua. And they know exactly who they're gathering. That's why Yahushua said, my sheep hear my voice. So if you're hearing this, because Esau and the other nations, they're going to get offended at this word. They're not going to, you fucking guy talking about white man going to slavery. They're going to get offended. We've seen that time and time again. But those of you out there that may look like a Korean or a white person or whatever, if you listening to this word and you're not offended, and you know you drawn to this word, then more than likely you are an Israelite. And you have to be an Israelite, because the scripture said that the Most High is going to use his word to gather Israel,
the elect, yeah.
The elect of Israel. So you're not going to agree with this if this is against you. Just because you look a certain way, if if you're an Israelite, you're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
You know. So if you out there and you might look like a white person or an African or one of the other nations, and this word agrees with you, and you're being drawn to it, you know, then keep going, keep fighting, and keep doing what you're doing, because at the end, the Lord is going to deliver you, because you may be one of those elect.
Yeah.
You know. So let's go back to the scriptures.